Go.
All right, so there's a couple of things that stood out to me in the book that I was reading through about NMCB 22 and their history in the Vietnam time frame. I was reading through there and I saw a bunch of just random little stories that were called what I would call shenanigans, and I think that's a really fun part of this story to cover because it's a deep cherished spot in my soul. So we'll kick it off with when 22 arrived at Gulfport during their pre-deployment in 1968. Commander Dunlap, who was the CO at the time, saw that there was a need for a set of instructions and directives. So he took some active duty ones from the around the base in Gulfport, and he modified them with another Lieutenant Commander Post. And him and the Lieutenant Commander kind of made their edits and whatever. They worked up drafts, and then they had one poor YM2 assigned to the battalion, and that poor YM2 would work 18 to 20 hours a day to produce all of these directives and instructions. So that goes to show that CBs have been making admin's life a living hell for a lot longer than the current history. So Commander Dunlap spent a lot of time getting grilled by different commanders and his superiors for the actions of the CBs. And one day he was called by Captain Ingram, the Gulfport skipper at the time. So he was in charge of the whole base, and he got a phone call from him and he said, "Report to my office on the double." So when he showed up to his office, he said, "Well, I saw the damnedest thing this morning. I'd seen this specific Jeep that I've been trying to get rid of for like 2 years driving around." And he says, "What is this bullshit about a warrant officer's taxi?" Unknown to Commander Dunlap, the CBs of NMCB 22 were rummaging around in a salvage yard and found this Jeep. And they were like, "We can fix that up. We can fix that right up." So they fixed it up and they painted it. And on the side of it, for the USN, they used the warrant officer's social security number. And then on the side of it as well, they painted warrant officer's taxi. So that was all well and good, but the warrant officers couldn't get any fuel from the base for it. So they gave it to Special Services. I have no idea what Special Services is, but when they did that, they could get fuel under the Special Services account, and that also left Commander Dunlap powerless in the scenario. He couldn't get rid of the Jeep because it wasn't assigned to NMCB 22, and Special Services had no intention of giving it up. So the CBs continued jeeping in their warrant officer's taxi until they left for Vietnam. But like a usual pre-deployment shenanigan, it wasn't over when deployment started. A couple of sailors showed up from Naval Security Forces at Sinpak, Pearl Harbor. And they showed up at the skipper's office in Vietnam demanding to know where the Jeep was. They were convinced that it had been taken apart and put into shipping containers and shipped to Vietnam because they couldn't find it or something like that. So Commander Dunlap less than cordially told them where they could go look for that, but it was definitely not in Vietnam. So moving on to the last little part here that I thought was extra hilarious. The battalion was about to deploy to Vietnam, and the morning before, Commander Dunlap was disrupted in his office by BMC Cornell, who stated simply, "You're in a lot of trouble, sir." Yet again, caught off guard, the skipper asked, "What the hell happened now?" It came out that someone had painted a 22 on the ass end of Captain Ingram, the base commander, on the back of his very favorite horse. And they also painted the hooves pink. And they used enamel paint, which is a lot harder to get off than just regular paint. So Commander Dunlap had no idea what to do, but knew he had to do something about it. So he sent a very grouchy BMC off with an order to get the hell out of my office and get the paint off that damn horse right now. Right now. And don't hurt the horse. In true CB fashion, the secret was kept for quite some time. It's said that years after it had passed and everything was gone, everybody's home, so many people came out saying that they did it, that nobody knew who actually did it. But as unprofessional as it may come across in these three little pieces of NMCB 22's history, and as infuriating to leadership as it might be, shenanigans are like a big, rich part of CB heritage and NMCB 22 heritage. And to me, that shows how you build unit camaraderie and how tight-knit your unit is when they pull off these shenanigans. Yes, they might be infuriating. Yes, they may go too far. But that's a big part of Heritage, and that's a big part of our history, is having that camaraderie and that tight knit and that little troublesome aspect to us. That's all I have.